If you don't have that, you are not considered valuable.
So many people are trying to protect kids from losing.
Society has really conditioned people to not like themselves.
Pay me for Rice got $250,000 to miss her championship game. I'm not missing it.
I'm excited and happy to be a patriot.
People die, you lose friends, people screw you over. These are real life things.
So there's a lot of uncertainty right now, right, with the election and what happened. And we were talking about it earlier this morning. What are your thoughts on the election and where you think the country is heading?
I'm uncertain why people are uncertain. I've never been more certain that we're going to crush it this next 4 years. You could just feel the energy in our country, and it's like reverberating around the world, you know?
Yeah.
And when you have this many people this excited, you're watching happen with the stock market, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, investments in general. Gold is through the roof. It's like Trump's not even in office yet.
Yeah.
We still got another
32 days or something like that.
We got another
right?
4 or 5
yeah,
weeks.
Yeah. And Canada could be the 51st state.
Like we're just across the board, gold, Bitcoin, stocks, everything is going through the roof just from the energy.
Yeah.
So what happens when we actually this is just practice. What happens when we actually get there?
Yeah, you know? This is warm up for sure. Well, it's interesting because I feel the same thing. It's interesting, like energy is such an important thing in life. The day after the votes came out and it was like, okay, he's going to be landslide. He's going to be the president. And it was like you woke up and it was like this suppression had been lifted.
Yeah.
And sometimes you feel that in companies, right? When you get rid of like a manager that's very suppressive or somebody that's just pushing everybody down. And it's like you get rid of them and all of a sudden everything feels lighter.
Yep.
The air feels lighter. The energy comes back. The excitement comes back. Honestly, I feel like just excited, man. Like I feel excited about the future. And I haven't felt like that in 4 years.
I think what people aren't realizing is like all the perfect storm of what's happening.
Yeah.
Like the last 4 years was tough. We saw a lot of depression and recessions and situations and prices going up in the bad way, inflation through the roof. Like we saw a lot of those things, but I think that's what was kind of important for us. Like we talked about earlier, like people visualizing that and now saying, wait a minute. That was wrong. We were lied to. This did happen. This was a problem.
Yeah.
Wait, that person said that thing.
Yeah.
Like now we're seeing it. And we're seeing it at scale for the first time ever, first time in human history.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that when I kind of look at the last 4 years and, you know, when Trump left office and I look at the people's demeanor, right? Like what happened. I think it was the best thing that could have happened because I think everyone had a reality check. They were like, hey, hold on for a second. The Democrats were talking about how they were going to build back better and all this stuff was going to be better and everything's going to be great. And then it was just 4 years of toxicity, right? It was a disaster. There was no production. Nothing got done. Inflation continued to go up. People were having less money in their pockets, you know, at the end of the day. And now I think they got so fed up with it, they were like, hey, we don't want to do this anymore. Yeah. And I think to me, that was probably one of the biggest reflection points that people had about why it was such a landslide election for Trump was because they were just fed up with it. They were like, you know, because he was saying, hey, we're going to make it great. We're going to make it great. Right. And then they thought, oh, well, it's not really dependent on the party. Maybe for some reason they didn't like him. They didn't like his personality, right? And then when he left office and Biden and Harris just drove everything, it was like, oh, there actually does make a difference who the person is in office, which, because I think a lot of people actually don't think the person in office actually makes a difference. Right.
The thing is, like, the functionality happens from behind the scenes, but us as a society, we look to as the leader. Yeah. This is the leader of the free world. Yeah. And we want to be inspired by him. And if the leader of the free world is falling downstairs, we're not inspired by that. Someone is frail. In this situation, this is a loud and proud person who's flanked by Joe Rogan, Elon Musk, and a lot of interesting characters that are pushing, you know, wanting to fight the good fight. And so I think for me, like, you know me, I don't really talk about politics very much. I talk about energy and economy, and we're seeing it right now. The energy and economy is through the roof across the board. Yeah,
it's everywhere. No, it's electrifying, right? It's like people, and then just even myself, like I'm excited and happy to be a patriot. Right. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, this is my country, and I'm for my country.
We're allowed to be proud again.
Yeah, we're allowed to be proud again.
It was rude to have the flag before. It was rude to salute or like, what? What are you talking about? This is our country.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Now it's like you see front row Trump at the UFC fight, like proud.
No, it's badass. That's the way it should be.
Fighters holding their flags up like the way it should be. Where before it was like, oh no, we should kneel. Like, what are you talking about? This is our country. This is what we're made of.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think society has really conditioned people to not like themselves and be proud of who they are and what they represent, right? And you know, you run multiple businesses too, and it's like being an inspiring leader takes a certain amount of pride and love for yourself, right? So like, how do you inspire your team?
We went through a time where the 7th place trophies were a thing. We went through a time where it was like rude to talk about your wins. If you're playing basketball for 16 years and then you're at the college finals and you're at the championship, you should be proud that day, that week, that year, and talk about it as much as you want. In our society, a lot of times like, oh, you shouldn't post about it, you shouldn't talk about it, you shouldn't brag about it. Why?
Yeah.
Blood, sweat, and tears for 16 years. That kid from 8 years old till 24 years old, that's all they did. And now they finally win.
Yeah.
I want to hear about it. I don't want to see the negative stuff. I don't want to see you complain and cry. I want to see the winners. I want to see them fight hard for that championship. And by the way, when you lose, which you need to lose because it'll make you work harder, well, that's something we need to talk about also. Like so many people are trying to protect kids from losing. Why? If you give them a 7th place trophy, what incentivizes them to go work out that summer to go back next season?
Yeah, I was just talking about this the other day because they're like, they do graduation for kids in the 1st grade and the 5th grade and the 6th grade. And I'm like, does anybody know a kid that has actually flunked the 1st grade? Like, it's impossible to flunk the 1st grade. Right. So why are we having parties and celebrations for something you can't lose? I mean, it just sets up such the wrong tone for people. It's like, what are people doing?
You have to go through struggle to want to fight for it.
Yeah.
Like even the best of the best, like the Michael Jordans and the Kobe Bryants of the world, they didn't make every winning shot.
No.
Didn't happen. And that's what drove them in practice. They wanted to be better on every single angle at every single moment for that last second shot. And along the way, you are going to get sick. You are going to miss the shot. You are going to get blocked. Yeah. And if that doesn't happen...
No, people are so soft these days, man. It's like just so soft, dude.
I posted last week about losses. Some friends that had passed away, some family that passed away. Yeah. I got so many messages. And all I was thinking the whole time is, everyone else, not everybody, but most other people are pretending like everything is perfect.
Yeah.
Life's not perfect.
No.
People die, you lose friends, people screw you over, things happen, lawsuits happen. These are real life things. People try to sugarcoat like entrepreneurship is just Lamborghinis and Bentleys and private jets. Like when you really think about the entrepreneurial world, there's only a few guys like you that have a private jet. There's only a few guys that have hundreds and hundreds of employees. And a lot of the people that are out there making content are making it seem like they have that thing, like everything is perfect.
What percentage do you think of people that are on social media is just like all a facade?
99.
99%.
Yeah. The hard part for people is they're not clear about the reality of overhead.
Yeah.
The reality of employees, the reality of vendors and late payments and lawsuits and shipments and so many things that happen in business. Yeah. All they post about is a screenshot of $1 million in sales on Shopify. That's not net.
No.
That's gross.
Yeah.
If I did $1 million, I'd be upside down in 5 million, right? Like you doing $1 million or $2 million, $3 million in gross sales is not your net. And so many people are so flashy, like we did $3 million in sales, so you lost money. Yeah, is what you're telling me.
Right.
Which is okay.
Yeah.
But don't make it seem like your $3 million is worth $50 million. It's not. It's not. And so the reality check is the reason I do what's called building in public. I want people to see the hard part, the struggle. Like we made a video this morning for the toy drive. We're showing us unloading pallets off of a truck. Yeah. Not just like, oh, look at Vick's private jet.
Yeah.
We're not. No. Yeah.
We're
unloading trucks at 8 a.m. and no one else was there.
Right.
We've got hundreds of employees and we were the ones there in person. Like I want people to see the realities of a driving force behind being an entrepreneur, not just rainbows and buttercups.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. So I stopped consuming social media myself.
Yeah.
Because it actually doesn't make you feel good. I'm a very mentally tough person, and I would find myself sometimes, you know, when I was just kind of scrolling, and I was just like, what am I doing? Because I literally did like an emotional check after I was done scrolling, and I'm like, you know what? Do I feel better? I was like, no, I don't feel better. And then I was like, why don't I feel better? And I didn't feel better because all I saw were all of these images of everybody else doing so much better, right? And everything is perfect, and how everybody's a trillionaire now and a billionaire now, and everyone is, right? Everyone is. And I was like, it didn't make me feel good. So I just consciously made a decision. I'm like, you know what? I'm just not going to consume it anymore. And so now it's more of just a channel for us to post our content and do things and network. But consuming social media content, mindlessly scrolling, like I really encourage people to like do an emotional check of yourself when you're just mindlessly scrolling. Now, there's a difference between finding a channel that you really like and you're getting some value from it. That's totally different, right? But in terms of just mindlessly scrolling, ask yourself, like literally when you're done scrolling, I want you to look and like do an internal check and really ask yourself, do you feel better? I guarantee you're not going to feel better.
So what I do is I mute a lot of people. There's a lot of people that you can't unfollow because they're like your friend or your cousin or someone that you're supposed to be following for whatever reason. Well, the secret's out of the bag. I mute them.
Yeah.
Because if they're not making content that I want to see, I don't have time for it, and I don't have the energy for it, and I also don't want to have that perception of them. I would rather my cousin be my cousin, my brother be my brother, my friend be my friend, and not necessarily consume all of their content. And so out of the thousands of people that I follow, I see like 40 or 50, really. Like I see content people that I want to consume. And so the difference is what you were just explaining is instead of social media, it's just media. You should still utilize the media because it is important for businesses, personal brands to make content. But if you're like what Vic was just saying, you didn't like what you were seeing, you have a couple options. Don't scroll through and don't make it social. Or you can mute a lot of the accounts, unfollow the accounts you don't want to, and you can really design your own algorithm. You can design what content you're seeing. I'm only seeing stuff that I want to now. And if I don't want to, and I see literally if someone like sneaks in something on my feed, mute or unfollow. Literally, boom, mute, unfollow. Because I don't want to see it tomorrow. And the math adds up with how much content's out there that when you're following hundreds of people or thousands of people like I do, mute.
There's so much, but I think it's even more, and I agree with you, and I do the same thing, and I think, but it's even more than that. I think it's even just the media in general. Like all you see is Elon Musk is now worth $700 billion, and this other guy's now worth $385 billion, and that means that they make $10 million a day and $1 million a second, and you consume that type of content. First of all, it's not real. A lot of these numbers are very exaggerated, but it also just makes you feel like you're useless. Like you're just like, well, if you don't have that, you are not considered valuable. And I feel like that's just this wrong direction that we're going in because, great, let's say you're a very successful entrepreneur. And I'm not hating on people that have created wealth, but how's your family? Where's your wife? Where's your husband? How's your family doing? How are you doing? Like, there's this idea now that's just like the media and this frenziness about money has just kind of taken over. And to me, it's gone very overboard because now that's just the only thing that's important. The only thing that's important and the only value you have is how much money you make. And that's just so asinine, right? Because, well, what kind of dad are you? What kind of husband are you? What kind of friend are you? You know, how's your mental health, right? How are all these other things happening? How's your spirituality? Like there's so many other things going on, but all you see on the media right now and on social media is just money. It's just all about money. It's all about money. And it's just like, you know, for a guy, look, I love money. I love it. I think it's enhanced my life in ways that I can't even imagine. And it's helped my business and my family and my friends in ways I can't even imagine. But it's not everything. And so I feel like even with my content, I'm trying to push that message out that, yes, you need a lot of money. You need money to survive. You need money to be able to help your friends and your family. Absolutely. But is it the only value that a person should have that makes them valuable?
I look at life on like a checklist. And the things that you were saying, spirituality, the fitness and health, the family life. What are the markers for you? Some people are not going to have the husband or wife and kids. Some people like the single life, and strangely in our society, that's getting less and less and less. How staggering it is of how few children are going to be born in certain countries. Like in the Asian markets especially, like the numbers are getting staggering. So what are the check marks for you? From religion to personal health to, for each person, it's different. But too often we're just seeing what you just said is that we're just seeing people flash the things and not actually showcase what is going on in their real world.
What's going on in the real world? You know, I was thinking about it the other day. I'm a very competitive person. And so when I see things on social media, it does something inside of me. And because I'm so competitive, I was thinking about it the other day and I thought, you know what? There's a price to pay for everything. And if I wanted to be at a certain net worth or I wanted to accomplish a certain thing, I would have to then make sacrifices in my life. You know, and I'd have to say, okay, do I want to raise my kids, for example? Like for me, even with what I'm doing, and I work 14 to 16-hour days, and I work 6 to 7 days a week, right? Now, work, in definition of work, is doing physical and mental activity, right? So you know as well as I know, you don't need to be in the office to be working, right? You could be working just thinking about a problem you're trying to solve and all that type of stuff. However, I have to then decide how much am I willing to sacrifice in not wanting to raise my kids, for example, or actually develop and continue to create the relationship with my wife and my family and everybody else. And so you have to think at some point, people have to think, and I was thinking about this, I said, you know what, at some point I have to decide on how much time I do want to give to certain things, you know, and that's been like an evolution for me in my own personal life, because for a long time I was just very driven to be successful. And it's not that I don't want to continue to be successful, but what I've realized or come to realize is that you have to understand that there's a sacrifice for everything. And if you see somebody doing well in just one thing, is that the one thing you want? Or do you want to have all of it? See, I'd rather have all of it. I wouldn't want to just be the richest man in the world, but not have a great relationship and be married and have a great relationship with my kids and see and watch them grow and be involved with all those things, right? I'm not willing to sacrifice that to be the richest man in the world. Somebody else is, good for you. But I think you're not seeing that enough on social media.
So there's a post that went very viral this week. In that post, he said, if you want to do this in 10 years, you have to not hang out with your friends, not go to any of your friends' weddings for 10 years, and just these things about basically alienating everyone else.
Yeah.
Don't talk to anybody else, and you can't go to a wedding. And it went viral because everyone's arguing about it. I haven't seen one person agreeing with it, not one.
It's true.
Because you can do both.
Yeah.
The Saturday night wedding is not impacting your business.
Yeah, it's true. I didn't mean that it's true. It's true what you're saying. Yeah.
And like the notion of it, of like, we don't know that we're going to live 10 more years. So you might be a 27-year-old that's like, okay, until I'm 37, I'm not going to a friend's wedding, or I'm not going to talk to my friends. I'm just going to do this, this, and this. You know how many relationships and networking that happens at the weddings?
Yeah.
Exactly. Like no one talks about that part. Like the people that you meet that you're friends with, don't go to networking events. My phone book is why I exist.
Yeah.
The fact that I can text Vic, hey, I'm raising money for this. Hey, I'm doing a charity event. That happens from a text message because we're friends.
Yeah.
If I didn't talk to you for 10 years because I'm not allowed to have friends. There's no toy drive today.
Yeah, it's asinine.
There's no RiseCon. There's no massive event. But you then have thousands of people coming there. Like the butterfly effect of you and I not being friends because I was like, I can't talk to you. I got to focus on my business. You are part of my business and my brand and my life and my fun. And what if I don't make it 10 years? What if I'm not here when I'm 37 and tragedy happens? Like, did I not enjoy life because someone told me that you can't?
It's so true. Yeah. But that was my introspection because I was really like beating up myself, man. Dude, like I'm so hard on myself. Like I'm so hard on myself. And I was like watching something about Elon Musk, right? And I'm like, I felt like such a loser. Like, so I go to my wife and I'm like, man, I'm like, babe, I feel like such a loser. And she was like, why? I'm like, because I should be building rockets, and I'm not.
And I'm not.
And I'm not, and I know I can do it.
Yeah.
And so I went through this rabbit hole for weeks. Dude, I was like, I've never been depressed, but I kind of know what depression feels like through that period of time for a few weeks. And I was just like, I was so depressed. I felt like such a loser. I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. I like honestly felt like nothing I do is good enough. All of it's just, I haven't accomplished anything in my life. Like that's how I felt. And it took this kind of like journey mentally to go through to come out the other side to realize like, you know what? Could I build rockets? Absolutely. I know myself, and I'm the first one to say, could I do something or I couldn't do something, right? So I'm like, do I have the mental brain power to do that? Absolutely. The question is what am I willing to sacrifice for that?
Right.
And when I ask myself that question, and I encourage everybody to ask themselves that same question, that to me is where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah.
Are you willing to sacrifice? Like, am I willing to sacrifice all the things that I have right now to go build rockets? And I'm not going to answer that because you'll see. But my point is that that's what it takes. I went through this whole metamorphosis of feeling so bad about myself. Like I was really, dude, I'm telling you, like I was going to text you like, dude, I feel like such a loser. Help me. I came out the other side of it and I was like, okay, I get it. I understand it now from a different framework.
Yeah. The comparison part of our society it's scary because think about all the little girls that are seeing perfect images on social media.
Great example. Yeah.
Not realizing that they're completely photoshopped.
Yeah.
You can even Photoshop videos now.
Yeah.
And these 13-year-old girls and 16-year-old girls and 25-year-old girls and adult women are just looking and scrolling through social media and just seeing perfect girls.
Yeah.
And the same way you and I look at an Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, like, gosh, let's end this podcast right now. I got to get to work. Yeah. I need $1 billion per day. We're seeing in our society at a massive scale.
Massive scale, yeah.
Because we're bombarded with content.
That's why I'm stopping it. I can't watch it. I'm telling you. Not because I'm jealous. It's just, it does something inside of me where I feel like I need to be doing that. And if I'm not doing that, I don't feel good.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm protecting my own mind and I'm saying, hey, I don't want to consume that stuff. I definitely don't want my kids to consume that stuff. Like my kids are not going to see social media for a very, very long time. And Australia actually banned, I don't know if you know or not, but they banned social media for 16-year-olds and younger, which I think was a great move. I mean, I don't like all the stuff Australia does because they're very moved into socialistic direction, but my kids are not going to be on social media until at least 15, 16 years old.
I did a post asking should a kid have a smartphone? and the resounding average was 12.
Really?
Is when they should have a smartphone. It was mostly about getting a hold of them.
I think that's too young. What do you think?
Well, the social media part, most of them said there was restrictions. So everyone prefers it. I think once you have a smartphone, you can get around it.
Yeah, you get around restrictions. Come on, dude.
If I'm 12 years old, I'm figuring it out.
Yeah, you're going to figure it out.
Or I'll use my friend's phone.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to figure it out.
So what age do you think? What age are you going to let your girl get on?
Well, she's going to have it much younger because of the life that she's going to be built into. Yeah. Because I'm using her as like a catalyst to bring more women into entrepreneurship, podcasting, business, etc. That's why her name is Baby Girl Boss.
Yeah.
Like I'm using it for fun.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know that she will have her phone at all times to do it, but she will have it much earlier than most. And then I will be most likely adopting a boy.
Oh, nice.
I don't know that he will have the same that she does because I'm not using him for that. I want to adopt to promote adoption.
Yeah.
Because our society has this huge downfall, sad, of people having kids.
Yeah.
Especially for our next generation. And the generation after that, I don't know how many kids they're going to have.
We're having more kids. We're going to have, I think, 3 more kids.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I want to promote adoption in general.
Yeah.
As a concept.
Yeah, my wife wants to adopt too.
Really?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. She wants to adopt, and then we're going to have 2 to 3 more kids.
Wow.
Hopefully in the next year. I think next year, hopefully we'll have twins.
Okay, cool.
We're trying to get twins. We're doing the whole technology thing.
Yep.
So we're going to try to get twins, but yeah, we want to have like a basketball team.
I love it.
Yeah. It's fun. It's fun. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. It's something that brings you a lot of joy. Yeah. It's very inspiring. Kids are very inspiring because they just look at the world as this whole fresh new oyster. You know what I mean? And it's like everything's new and every day something's exciting.
Yeah.
And jumping over a little stick is exciting. You know what I mean? And I was like, wow, I guess I remember.
My baby grabs my finger and I'm like, ah.
Yeah. And then you remember those times where those things were exciting to you, right?
Yeah.
And then now you get into this age where you're just like the monotony of life and everything's not exciting and you're conditioned to feel like you shouldn't be excited about stuff and all that. So I feel like my kids are kind of reversing that for me. It's kind of cool.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
When I had the baby, a lot of people were wondering, like, am I going to change my travel? Am I going to throw less events? And bluntly, no.
Yeah, me either. Yeah,
and
I didn't change.
I incorporate her when I can. So she's been to events. She's been on podcasts, like, as a tiny little baby.
Yeah.
The day she was born, she was on Zoom for my $100,000 mastermind. Literally the actual day, the day one of life. She sat on my lap for the whole hour. And within the first month, she was on a podcast. Within 2 months, she was on a stage. Within 4 months, like, I haven't changed it. And right now, I'm going to 10 cities for the toy drive, and she's coming to 2 of them. Yeah. Because daddy's got to go. I want to save the world. And so it's hard for me at this stage to have that change in my life. Now, when she's 7, I'm not missing a soccer game.
Right.
You wouldn't pay me for a ride. It's got $250,000 to miss her championship game, for example. Like, at that point, when it matters and she'll remember it, I'm not missing it. Yeah. But when she's 4 months old.
Yeah, she didn't remember anything.
Yeah. I want to be there for her. But when she's 1, 2, 3, 4 years old, I want to take her on tour. I want her to be part of my life.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same way. Like, I didn't change anything. I doubled down, if anything, because now I had another mouth to feed. Mm-hmm. So it was like, hey, I got to work harder. But yeah, look, I mean, I'm homeschooling my kids. Like right now they go to Montessori, but in another year I'm going to homeschool them. And they're going to be with me every day. Like they're just going to be, I'm going to bring them along. They're going to come to the conferences and they're going to come to work and they're going to see and they're going to socialize with people like you and other successful people. And that's how they're going to learn.
What's your take on the AI influencers nowadays? Because there's a lot of that out there.
I mean, I think it's good for them. I watched a 60 Minutes interview a couple of weeks ago about a couple in Spain that they have an AI figure, a model that gets booked for promotion of different products and services. And, they're making lots of money. Look, I think people are taking advantage of AI in a way that is new. And if they can do it and it doesn't hurt anybody, more power to them.
I think we're going to see AI compound so much because of literally AI stands for artificial intelligence. And so it's just getting smarter and smarter and smarter. The hard part is there's a lot of misinformation that the AI is consuming. When people talk about ChatGPT is going to take over the world, if you and I go tonight to your private jet hangar, I have a different view of that hangar. I might think the parking lot's different. I might think the food is different. I might think where the bathroom is different. Like I have a different perspective. Yeah. And so when I type or talk about it or post on social media, I say one thing. Yeah. Vic, you've been going there for years. You've got your jet there. You know the food better. You know the manager better. So you have a better experience. What happens is ChatGPT searches the internet and has to decide between both of us and times that by tens of thousands of interactions on. Yeah. So the content that AI is consuming and utilizing to spit out is not facts, it's opinions. Yeah. And you view it as fact because you've been there for years and you're like, no, this restaurant is good. The bathroom should be right there. The vending machine is correct. And I'm like, no, I hated it because the manager is mean to me.
Yeah.
He was nice to you because you know him. He's mean to me.
Yeah.
And so AI is a very interesting time in our society, is that there's no way to fix that. Because you and I, 12 years from now, will still look at that restaurant differently.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to have a bad experience and you're going to have a better experience because you know the guy, you know the manager. Watching content that's coming from AI and influencers that are utilizing it, I think that part is fascinating.
Yeah.
Except you still need a human to oversee it. What's interesting is we don't have to be scared of AI taking our jobs. We have to be scared of the people using AI taking our jobs.
Absolutely, yeah.
I have to be scared that Vick's better at AI than I am, or the fact that you're even going to use it and I'm not.
Right.
And that's why people need to learn it, consume it, understand it, hire someone on their team to actually like go all in on it. Jeff Bezos just did an interview. He said he's back at Amazon, which he doesn't need to be, obviously.
Yeah.
And 95% of his focus is AI.